Hey there, it's Innovate Africa time again, and we don't always bring a new person to interview. I mean, when we interview businesses, I think the evolution of those businesses is something that we focus on as well. So not one-trick ponies when it comes to focus. And one of the earlier businesses that I interviewed, fascinating business, is called Adbot. What does Adbot do? Very simply, if you run a small to medium operation, you don't have the time to do all the marketing. You need to focus on your strategy, your other operations, and they basically do all of that for you using artificial intelligence. So Michelle Geere is the CEO of Adbot, and she joins you today. Mish, great having you on the show again.
Awesome. Thanks
And
for
I think
having me.
absolute pleasure. Let us start at the beginning again before we talk about your evolution and what's happened next. Let's talk about Adbot. In
Right.
layperson's terms, what do you do?
So perhaps I will take it back and kind of explain where we started. So 6 years ago, we developed software that uses artificial intelligence. Now, this was in the time before ChatGPT. And essentially what it does is it uses your Google account and it optimizes your Google account for you. So instead of you spending hours and hours optimizing or paying an agency to do it, we just do it for you. So it's essentially like programmatic, but for Google Ads, right? So it's a machine task-orientated tool that places your ads, that bids on it, that moves all new keywords into it. So it does all the work for you.
Okay.
Right, so that's where we started 6 years ago. And 6 years ago, when we approached new people to say, this is a bot that is AI and it does all the work for you, people were like, what are you talking about? You know how fast AI is now changing and disrupting the marketing field. And so these days, when we sit in front of clients explaining that AI is doing the work for you, a lot of people understand that, and so it's a much easier sell. But our evolution from where we were as a media placement or media buyer is going to be moving into a space where we actually look at the entire process of like the strategy side all the way through to then placing the media.
So we're going to definitely talk about that particular evolution, but just to once again understand this at a more granular level. When I place ads, I can use Bing, I can use Google Ads. There's a process behind me getting things right, like optimizing the right words, all that sort of, what they call it, search engine optimization, etc., etc. Right. And
Yes.
traditionally, when you put money down and you spend money on ads, they're static. But what your system does is it moves the money behind the most, well, let's just call it better performing words, and it gives you better efficiency at the end of the day, better reach for less clicks. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, so absolutely. So when you set up your Google account, or when an agency sets up your Google account, the first thing you have to do is you have to set it up correctly
Yes.
for the most optimal performance. And
Right.
not a lot of people know how to do that, right? So you set it up, you watch a couple of YouTube videos, you try it out yourself, you set it up. The problem is that when you leave it static after you've set it up, it becomes what we call a zombie account, because what happens is 15% of searches are new. So people are searching for things in a different way all the time.
Right.
So if you just keep it stagnant and you're not optimizing on a regular basis, you lose 15% of your traffic and money every single month.
Okay.
So what Adbot then does is it looks at what is working, what are people clicking on, what are people doing, and it then identifies this is a keyword or this is an ad that's working. So we're going to move money away from keywords that aren't getting clicks, and it moves it towards
Right.
ads and keywords that are getting clicks. So what that means is you're never paying for ads that are just dormant and not getting clicks or getting low quality clicks. So because of that optimization, we get you the most amount of clicks for the lowest cost.
Okay,
essentially.
makes a lot of sense. As you said, just going back to something you said, trying to explain this to people can be rather difficult. Let's talk about your traction that you've had. We've spoken about a year ago, just under a year ago, lots of things happening. You're busy raising funds and funding and all of that. But let's talk about the traction that you've managed to achieve and where, and maybe one or two of the key lessons that you've learned as a co-founder and CEO of this business.
Um, so yeah, very interesting question. Um, the traction from about a year ago is quite interesting. So as all businesses start out, you create a niche. Our niche was very much business owners who are struggling to do their own Google ads, who were trying to kind of like get online, get their business online, to start selling online, but didn't have the resources in time or people or money to pay an agency.
Right.
And so that was our core focus. And for 5 years, that was our main focus. And since I've last seen you, we have actually seen that growing into businesses who are a little bit bigger. So what we are seeing at the moment from a marketing perspective is that marketing teams are reducing. Budgets within marketing is reducing. And so you have this scenario within corporates who have quite sufficient budget for Google Ads. So say between 50 and 100,000 Rand. But they are a single person and they're also struggling with resources and time and money. And so what we've seen in this evolution is that our core audience is still our core audience, but it's now shifted to these marketing managers who are lean teams, sometimes solo team members, who are trying to deliver the same expectation of the team when it was 10 people. So it's very interesting to see how that change is actually progressing. And obviously AI can help with that because AI is just doing tasks that you can't get to, you still review and you still get the great result.
Did you find that over time people got your story more effectively, right? Because selling something which is technical, selling something which is AI related is not an easy thing, especially when you start speaking AI and you speak to non-AI people. When you sell, that's just a lesson for people who are running their businesses, and yes, they might have a technical back end. I normally say dispense of the artificial intelligence talk and just talk about the value creation.
Mm.
And what this engine allows you to do from a productivity perspective. So let's talk a little bit about how you sell, some insights to other founders who might have technical backends and they're just trying to figure out how to get the message across effectively.
Totally. So the AI language can be very overwhelming and a lot of things kind of like are clumped together. And so if you say AI ads could mean AI chat to some people. People get kind of like confused around that language. So when we sell, we actually speak about the value that it creates more than the actual technology. In reality, you don't really care what it's doing in the background. There are two things that you care about. Am I going to sit at night in front of the TV while my children are being put to bed by the nanny or someone else? And is it going to cost me an arm and a leg? And am I going to get the results? Like those are the things that you're really concerned about. And so if you think about how much time is required to optimize a campaign, so Google's done some research and said like you need about 30 hours a week to optimize your campaign. Now, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a marketing manager running a lean team, you don't have 30 hours.
No, it's half your day every day.
It's half your day every day. So if you can replace that time
Yeah.
with a machine that does it and reduce that time to 1 hour a week, where you are reviewing your adding value to your strategy, creativity, rather than actual physical execution, it actually saves you 30 hours a week for one. But also it's really because the machine is doing all the work, it also cuts that cost down quite a bit. So you're not paying agency fees, you're getting amazing results. Because remember, this machine works 24/7 as well.
Mhm.
So because of the hours spent, if you're just spending 30 hours a week, the bot is spending 24/7. So just in comparison, the bot's already spending double the amount of time, therefore getting double the results that you're getting.
And also, if you think about the dynamics, the technology versus human dynamics, and I'm not for 1 second suggesting we lay off half our marketing departments, but technology costs decrease over time.
Mm.
Human costs are inflationary,
Yes,
right?
correct.
So bringing in that tech has a bottom line effect on your business over time. But at the same time, just talking about the human aspect, the people who used to spend 4 hours a day doing all of this stuff, they can now do something else with the hours that they've freed up. So you get to invest that time back in your business, which I think is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. So from an entrepreneur perspective, you invest that time back into your business and you can get operationally more efficient.
Right.
Or if you're a marketing person, the reality is no marketing person loves doing Google Ads. It's just not something that they've signed up for. It's part of the job spec, absolutely. But the reason why they're in that space is to think creatively, think
Yes.
strategically. And as humans, that is what we're really meant to do. We are strategic. We still have that kind of like human-human connection. We know where to pull and kind of like change that conversation. AI is not there yet. And so in your question, if we can use our human and our human resource to do the thing that they're really good at
Yeah.
versus the task that they're not good at or don't even like, hand that over to the AI, you're going to get a really great working environment, number one, but also from a, like you said, at the end of the day, your bottom line is going to be.
Michelle, I think it's time for us to move on to the bit of breaking news. I've seen some of it in the media, but I don't think anybody's really done a full one-on-one with you about this great news. We all know Michael Jordaan. We know him as the innovative former CEO of FNB. Under him, FNB became the most innovative bank in the world through his vehicle, and that's not his car, his investment vehicle. He's decided to invest in Adbot. How did that come about?
Right. So Michael's innovation didn't stop with FNB. Within his organization or his VC fund, he invests in businesses who are quite innovative in this space. As he's been investing, he also ran into the same problems that we've been running into. All these businesses have very small marketing teams. They don't have enough resources. They don't have enough time. They don't have enough money in order to get agencies. And so the problem that he experienced is very similar to the problem that we were solving. And so when we met for the first time, it was quite apparent that there's not a lot of businesses in AdTech or MarTech within the South African space. And the way we approached our startup and the way we approached how we would solve the problem, I think is very innovative, but also not so ambitious that you need millions of rands or lots of development in order to kind of like get it over the line. I think we addressed a core focus of a niche. We solved that. We're seeing some really great traction on that. It's doing really well. We're seeing another niche joining onto that, which is the marketers. And we're starting to see a lot of need for that services. And I think Michael has identified the problem by experiencing it himself. His wine brands that he's invested in, Rain, Zero Bank, all those guys are kind of like mimicking the same problem back to him. And I think very insightful that he could see that there is a business that could solve that problem. And we're really thankful for having him on board with the rest of our investors who are also really absolutely amazing.
So did he phone you? Did you knock on his door 1,000,000 times? How did that conversation even start?
So my co-founder met him on a very random walk. And so founders and CEOs, they really get out of the office a lot. And so when you do, you're either trying to connect with nature, but within a very safe environment, which is other CEOs, so that you can complain and moan and de-stress, I suppose. And through that interaction and conversation, that's kind of like how it started. So it's always good to just keep your networks growing and moving forward.
Sage advice. Your currency is literally your network.
Absolutely.
Because those networks open up doors. When you open up doors, you potentially can get market access. If you have market access and there's interest, the money flows.
Correct.
Money flows a little bit more difficultly, I think is the right word to use.
I have no idea.
I think so. Anyway, we're keeping this in. It's a little bit more difficult for money to flow when you don't have those in place.
Absolutely.
So MarTech.
Yes.
For those who don't understand what martech is, I would imagine it's marketing tech.
Correct.
You now want to do the whole caboodle. You want to do from the beginning all the way through to the end, the ad placement and managing all of that. Take us through that.
Right. So in order to maybe explain it, let's just talk about what we have at the moment. So the system we built right now is called AdTech. So it's advertising technology,
Right.
and it's very much related to placing media. What we really see the value in is MarTech. And so if you're sitting with an agency, there's a very specific process that they take you through. They call it strategy and then exploration. And then from there on, they go into execution, which is creating the creative sets. And then from there on, it goes to the media placements and buying, etc. The reality is that the reason why agencies are there is because the process is really important. You need to know who your target audience is. And this is the reality for a startup. It's also a reality for bigger organizations. Pernod
Right.
Ricard, all those guys, they work exactly on the same process, right? So know who your customer is and then work through the process. What I think is missing at the moment is AI has given us this massive opportunity, right? And it's really disrupting the marketing space. The problem that we're facing is that you can do so much,
Yeah.
but where do you start? Or what tool do you use? How do you start? And I think what we haven't solved as yet is how do you take that same customer through the process
Right.
and achieve a solution for their problem. And in order to do that, you need to understand what the problem is. In our case, our problem for our customer is that they don't have enough time, they don't have enough resources. So a lot of decision making has to happen within this framework
Sure.
and then fed back and then get approval and then move on to the next phase. How that gets applied, we'll discover in the process of building in the next year. And so hopefully by January 2027, we have another interview where we launch our product to all marketing teams out there.
So marketing teams and not directly to big clients.
So marketing teams, most likely. So it would be anybody that is a lean marketing team. There's been some research, I think it was done by McKinsey, that says most marketing teams consist of 10 people, like big internal marketing teams. That's crazy. Like 10 people, most of them are running with 3 or less. 25% actually are running with 3 people or less, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
So layered on top of that is the fact that budgets are being cut, right? And it's now very strictly, you'll see the budget sitting within like 6% of revenue of that business. So a lot of constraints. The problem that these guys are having as well is that the expectation isn't changing. So their team is smaller, their team becomes smaller, they get more responsibility on their plate, and they still have to deliver the same results as what they did with a full team and a higher budget.
Yeah.
So I think that is the biggest problem that we're solving. And we are super excited to see what it looks like in the end.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to that conversation a couple of months down the line. I almost said years, but these things move very quickly. I'm sure you're
Definitely.
going to get traction. Having an investor like Michael Jordaan on board means you can open up other doors as well, which is phenomenal. Doing work for his other investments, etc., etc. So I think that conversation is going to happen a lot sooner than later. But Michelle, it's great to see this type of progress. And really, this is what Innovate Africa is about. It's about telling you the story. This business starts out, it solves a big problem for a handful of people, you think, and then everybody else wants it. But then as you go on that journey, you start realizing, hold on, this problem is even a lot bigger than we thought. And we can use a mixture of AI and sort of human insights to try and solve it. And this is exactly what happened with Adbot. So stay tuned, because in a couple of months from now, you'll be hearing from the CEO of Adbot, Michelle Geere. Once again, Michelle, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the platform. We
It's
really
an
appreciate it.
absolute pleasure. And of course, I'll see you next week on Innovate Africa.